Now, this is a great example of a question that looks hard to me. Not just because of there's a lot of stuff in the chart, but the past is kind of long, but ooh, it's the answer choices. The answer choices are usually what tell me it's going to be hard. So I could be wrong, but that's my first instinct. And if I were running out of time on a section, that might impact whether I do this question or save it for later. But let's take a look. This is the something about Congress. I don't know. Economist Steve H. Hank has shown that divided U.S. Congresses, which occur when one party holds the majority in the House of Representatives and another holds the majority in the Senate, tend to accompany reductions in total federal outlays spending relative to gross domestic product, which Hank interprets to reflect decreases in government size. Okay. Hank calculated the percentage point change in total outlays encompassing non-defense and defense outlays for consecutive U.S. Congresses. Hank has pointed to his calculations as evidence that a divided Congress may be a necessary but not sufficient condition for a decrease in government size to occur. Oh my God. Okay. So we got to support that. So make sure we do that. So a divided Congress may be a necessary but not sufficient condition for a decrease. So the not sufficient part is what's interesting because it suggests that you need to be divided, but you need something else. To say something is not a sufficient condition means that you need it to happen, but it's not enough by itself in order to cause the change. So something else must also require the decrease in government size, is what they're saying. So I don't even know. I guess I'm trying to dumb summary this, but to me, necessary but not sufficient, it's just a phrase I know. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know. Let's look at the choices. The periods of undivided Congresses were associated with increases in non-defense outlays. So undivided is an increase in non-defense. Undivided, yeah. Okay. Right? That's true? Yes. Whereas all the periods of divided Congresses, except one, were associated with reductions in defense outlays. No, because only one, defense outlays. I guess. Is that? Yeah, but I don't know what that's trying to say. That just seems like random facts to me. Like I don't get what that's supposed to do. Is that saying then that the divided Congress is reducing things or not? I don't know. I don't know what this means. Let's move on. All the periods of divided Congresses were associated with reductions in total outlays, although two periods were also associated with increases in non-defense outlays. So all periods, that's pretty strong, of divided were reductions in total outlays. So divided, here's a reduction, but here's not a reduction. So that's just not even true. So that's just not true because of that 2.7 there. So no, I don't even need to bother reading the choice. This is the benefit sometimes of these, is even though the choices are long, you can think of them as composed of other little choices and test each of those separately. Don't try to hold all that info in your head. C, the periods of undivided Congresses were associated with increases in total outlays. So undivided is increases. That's true. That's this and this. All right, total outlays. Whereas all the periods of divided Congresses were associated with reductions in either non-defense outlays or defense outlays. So divided is reductions in these other two things. So divided, reduction, reduction, reduction. Okay, I mean, that's true. That's true. I don't know if that's right, but it's true. D, all the periods of divided Congresses except one were associated with reductions in total outlays. So divided except one, reductions in total. So divided, that's a reduction. That's not a reduction. That is a reduction. So that's true. Check. Whereas the periods of undivided Congresses were associated with increases in total outlays. I mean, that's true too. So that's all this. So I haven't decided that that's the answer, but I like that it's all in one column, right? Because so much of these questions are about comparisons, right? Is we're comparing one line to another, one bar to another, one row or column to another. What I don't like about all these other choices is I felt like we were kind of moving around and being like, okay, this box here has something to do with this other box in a completely different part of this chart. Why? What's the connection? You can even see, like, for choice A, like, I just didn't even know what they were trying to say. Whereas D is keeping me all in one column, right? That's when you're trying to make a comparison, that's easy. Either we want all one column, all one row, right? That's simple. That's what comparisons are, is you're holding something constant so you can understand some other change. When we're randomly kind of jumping around this board, I don't know what that means. These are just random stats. So let's see if we can then relate that back to the dumb summary. I think this is a hard question still, but right, they're trying to say a divided Congress may be a necessary but not sufficient condition. So when you are divided, you are capable of reducing government size. So that seems true, right? We're divided, you are capable. Here it works, here it works. But it's not sufficient, meaning it's not automatic. It's not guaranteed that you will reduce it, because look what happened here, right? This one didn't follow the trend. But when we had undivided Congresses, in both cases, it went up, right? So it's showing an undivided Congress, it's not going to reduce anything. And I get that, yes, the change in defense outlays is lower later, but remember, we're not trying to like actually make a point. We're trying to cherry pick data to make this other guy's point, right? So that's kind of it. Is I don't care if that's actually true. I just care if I've supported his point as best I can. So it is D. And again, my problem with A and C is mostly I just don't understand what the point would be. It's comparing undivided and divided, but we're moving around. And so if we're trying to talk about a decrease in government size, to me, if something randomly decreases like over here, that isn't necessarily representative of the decrease in government size. In this case, it was, but like here, this negative 0.3, right? That's a decrease in the size of the defense outlays. But overall, that year, that Congress, the total size of government, the total cost of everything went up quite a bit. So it doesn't matter if one random like department of the government lost money or is costing less. The point that this guy is making is it's about the entire size of government. What I like about choice D is it keeps me in the total column for both divided and undivided. But I had no idea that was going to matter when I read this. Like, to be very clear, I kind of stumbled upon this answer by just like going through the choices, getting rid of some things, and kind of ending up with a place where I'm like, well, this is certainly the simplest answer in lots of ways. And it is, factually correct according to the data. So try to do that, I guess, is like, yes, go through everything, but don't feel like if you don't have a clear idea of what you want, that you're going to be completely lost. Like, you can find your way as you go through the question. It definitely is necessary for me to do that here. And that's why for most of these questions, I tend to leave them for last, as I know that finding my way is not a good feeling, but it is required for some cases. So there you go. Hopefully that helped, gave you that perspective of what we're trying to do.